go along. You take it from me today, Paul will take it from you tomorrow, mama. Sweet, sweet, living is sweet, oh, whether rich or poor. Why not pray for long fellow? He can pray for long life. As long as they live, you know, the fellow will grow. Power, if I know, it can make you happy. It's just like a volcano, it way to capsize. Sweet, sweet, it's our liver. Not for go along. You want me to eat it, or we just can eat it. It's our liver, it's our liver, sweet, it's our liver. Not for go along. You take it from Peter today, Paul will take it from you tomorrow, mama. You take it from me right today, mother will take it from you tomorrow. Papa, when in your fuel. What people do to you, you got to cry. Had enough for one person, oh, it's a matter of time. After me, it's a lesson, yeah, but it is ahead. Sweet, sweet, it's our liver. Not for go alone, mama. Human being can eat it, oh, the deer can eat it. Good time, you. Sweet, sweet, it's our liver. Now for go along. Human beings can eat it, or we should eat it too. Sweet, sweet, living is sweet, oh, whether rich or poor.
Thank you, thank you.
Why not pray for long fellow? You can pray for long life. As long as they living, the fellow will grow. You take it from me right today, oh, Peter will take it from you tomorrow, mama. Hey, you take it from Peter today, oh, Paul will take it from you tomorrow. I find power if I know, it can make you heavy. Looking like a crooked, no, a way to capsize. Que sabalio, mama, no go alone. When I pray for long fellow, he always pray for long life. I know you're living, the fellow will grow. My people. Sweet, sweet, kiss our liver, no go alone. After number one person, oh, it's a matter of time, Papa. After it's a lesson, yeah, brother, this ahead. I'm over the way, live where my way go. Feel it in your hole. I'm over the way, Papa, yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, let me see. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's great to be back on this platform. Of course, I'm sitting in for Mr. Emmanuel Savice on the Emmanuel Savice show today. And of course, as usual, this platform, Emmanuel Savice show, we advocate for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Code for Liberia and the full implementation of the TRC recommendations as well. So it's great to be here. As shortly I will be going live in Monrovia, Liberia with Heart FM, and Heart TV there. Just trying now to get in touch with my colleague there at Control. But welcome to the show. Please also help to share the video as we continue to advocate for social justice in Liberia, especially for the victims, all of the victims of the madness that took place in our land during the 14 years of civil upheaval. It's great to be here. Today we're going to look at we are going to flip some pages in the TRC recommendations, the TRC report, and we'll be bringing you some of the news and development in the TRC there. Perhaps we'll remind you of some of the names that are mentioned in the TRC that the TRC recommended for them to be barred from holding any political office for 30 years. Those names I will go into the TRC and read them out to you later. But just to remind you as well that the March for Justice in Liberia stands on the 5th of April. We are still going ahead, and we'll be in Monrovia to represent all of the innocent souls that they took away from us by force. Yes, they took them away by force. So we are going to represent them in Monrovia, Liberia, to call on the government of Mr. Weir to do something about the establishment of war and economic crimes go for Liberia. And of course, calling on the international community as well to listen to our call and try to help us. We, the people of Liberia, are the ones that are calling. We want help. And of course, there's no other place we can get help from the government of Liberia and the international community. Let's continue to take a batch of the theme, and then we'll come back. We'll see. By then, we'll try to be in Liberia live.
You take it from Peter today, Paul will take it from you tomorrow, Mama. Sweet, sweet, living is slow, whether rich or poor. Why not pray for a long fellow? He can pray for a long life. As long as they live, you know, the better we grow. Make you happy. Yeah, just like a volcano, it's way to capsize. Sweet, sweet, kiss our liver. Not for go alone. You want me to eat it, or if you can eat it. Kiss our liver, kiss our liver, oh, sweet, kiss our liver. Not for go alone. Take it from you tomorrow, Mama. You take it from me right today, oh, Mother, we take it from you tomorrow. Papa, Papa, may in your fuel. Well, people do to you, you got to cry. It's a matter of time. Adam is a lesson, yeah, brother, this I had. Sweet, sweet kiss our liver. Not for go alone, Mama.
Don't go for go alone.
You might be getting you. The dear can eat it. Go down and you.
That's true.
You check it from me today, oh, Peter will check it from you tomorrow, mama. Hey. You check it from Peter today, oh, Bob will take it from you tomorrow. Fine, power is power. It can make you heavy. Looking like a crookie, no, a way to capsize. Ah, que sabalio, ah, que sabalio, mama, don't go alone. Don't pray for long fellow, he always pray for long life. I know you're living, the better we grow, my people.
Amuse.
Sweet, que sabalio, don't go alone. It's a matter of time, Papa.
Set on the individual, they all want to receive.
Okay.
So they will use the same things, the same corridor to transcend to power. And that's why we think about justice, and now we talk about accountability. Hello, Max.
Theo, good afternoon, good evening. How you
Hello?
doing? How you doing?
Hello, Max.
Theo, how you doing? Good evening, good afternoon. Theo, are you there?
I'm okay. How do you do?
I am good, I'm good.
Hello, Max. How you doing?
I'm good, Theo. How you doing today?
I'm grateful, Max.
All right, great. I'm very blessed as well at this end. Although our situation is not yet settled as we continue to battle with the European Union and trying to leave, and it's choking us now. Very, very much high, but there's no other way out. I think we will leave, and it's just that we don't know when we're leaving now up to this point. All right, I think we're having some delay here. Theo, are you there? I think we're having some delay, right? Theo, are you there?
Yeah, Max.
Yeah, I think we're having some delay, right?
You're breaking in.
Yeah, likewise too. You're breaking in, coming in as well. I think
You're breaking a little bit in.
I think we're having some delay. I think that's the reason. We should be having some delay.
Yeah, the technician is looking into.
All right, let me see. Let's try. Let's try again. Let me go off. Let me get you off and call you back. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Emmanuel Savice show. I'm sitting in for Emmanuel Savice, presenting a segment today of the Emmanuel Savice show once again. We're live in Monrovia, Liberia with Heart FM. I was actually calling you, but then you calling. I'm gonna leave it. You call me then. All right, let's see. Let's wait until we can get a call from Theo. I'm not gonna die again. Let me give him time to die and call me. So we're sitting here. Actually, in the Emmanuel Savice show, we advocate for social justice, especially calling on the government to institute measures that we can have. We can establish a war and economic crimes code for Liberia, and also be able to fully implement the TRC recommendations. So in a moment from now, we'll be going back to Monrovia, Liberia, still trying to link up with our control there at Heart FM in Monrovia, Liberia, so we can begin the show. But before as we try to get linked with Monrovia. I just wanted to remind you, all of you wonderful people of Liberia, those of you that are following the show, that have been following this issue of us calling for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia. We want to let you know that there's a march coming up in April the 5th. The 5th of April will be in Monrovia, Liberia. The reason, once again, we want to go and take the streets of Monrovia is to voice out and call on the government of Mr. Weah, a call on the international community to help us establish a War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia, and if possible, the full implementation of the TRC. So we'll be in Monrovia on the 5th of April. If you can't be there, you are in the diaspora, and you can't be there at all, your presence somehow can still make a difference. But what I mean is that your contribution, a financial contribution, can help to make sure that indeed what we are going to have there, what we are going to do there, we yield the fruit that we are yearning for. And I think we're going to look at this today. Let me see what it says. It says here, a catalog of selected human rights violations over the period 1979-2003, mostly documented by non-TRC sources. So let's see whether we will have a look at that. I don't know what's going on. Theo, let me try again. Is this thing ringing? This thing ringing back to me also. All right, let's see again. Let's try again. Please just bear with us. We're trying to link up with Heart FM in Monrovia, Liberia, so we can start the show. But in the meantime, let me put our theme on, just in case. This song here have, we've got a huge meaning as well.
You take it from Peter to the Paul will take it from you tomorrow, mama. Sweet, living is slow, where the rich or poor. Why not pray for a long fellow? He can pray for a long life. As long as they live, the better we grow.
Power is good though.
It's just like a volcano, it's way to capsize. Sweet, kids our liver. Not go along. You want me to eat it, or we just can eat it. Kids our liver.
So yes, we will be going into the TRC report and bring you the chronological settings of how we got to where we are today, calling for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia. Those developments are led to us experiencing 14 years civil madness in Liberia. So many people. 250,000 people.
It's a matter of time.
Accordingly. Probably even more than that, isn't it?
It's a lesson, yeah, but it is ahead. Sweet kids our liver. Not for go alone, mama.
So Once again, welcome to the Emmanuel Savice show. Sitting in for Emmanuel Savice today. I'm still waiting to link up with my colleagues there at Heart FM and TV. It's great afternoon from my end. Just about 80 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock here in the United Kingdom. Good evening to you all from my end.
Sweet living is where the rich are poor. Why not pray for long fellow? They can pray for long life. I know you're living, the fellow will grow.
I got it. Oh man, I don't know. You know, when you sang this song yesterday, none of us thought that indeed it would be useful today. I'll never leave. It's sweet, oh.
Sweet, living is sweet, where the rich are poor. Why not pray for long fellow? They can pray for long life. As long as they live, the fellow will grow. Power, you follow. It can make you happy.
All right, let's see whether we can. Let's see if we can reconnect with Monrovia. With Heart FM in Monrovia. We're still having some connectivity between us anyway, but let's hope that we will get through. Still trying to reach to them. All right, still having problem with Heart FM. We're getting through to Heart FM, so let's continue here. Probably we're going to give you another 10 more minutes. If not, we continue from here.
Take it from you tomorrow, mama. You take it from me right today, mother will take it from you tomorrow. Papa, may your fuel. What people do to you, you have to cry. It's a matter of time. After this a lesson, yeah, but it is ahead. Sweet kiss our liver, not for go alone, mama.
We were talking about your political views, and you had earlier mentioned the succession of Talbot as representing something of a crack, to quote you. And what impact did that have on individuals like you, looking from abroad?
Oh.
Babu want to become president. Mosquito want to become president. Poppy Dossel want to become president. Crazy man you see want to become president. Mr. Kelly want to become president. Mr. Lala man want to become president. Yeah, president you will see you. Mr. Robo want to become president. Yeah, God. Mr. Lala want to become president. President you see want to become president. Mr. John President. And young people will not agree. And let me tell you something. When they want to become president with Lala, they will come and say, as the president of the Republic of Liberia, I thank you people for giving me as the president.
All right, you. All right, I think the guys should be having some internet problem in Monrovia as we speak. Things are not all right. Things are not looking too good. Keep dropping. Let's go back to the music. The people team with Bel Air.
The people that we below, we were telling us we not below. Representative, senator, minister, president, I'm ready to suffering cause today. Oh, I like me real. Some people, I can see Liberia. Liberia suffering Liberia.
Hello, Tio. Oh, this is the internet problem is serious now. Let me try now to call you. Let me try to call and see. Right. Again, there's no answer. So I think in the next 3 minutes, if we don't get them, then we just continue. We just from here.
Liberian people suffering Liberians today. We see it. We don't do it nothing. Liberians, what we went to. We tired with war, we tired with destruction. We tired with your policies, people just is special interest, we are tired. We are tired.
of the month, at the end of the month, no salary. No salary. Security day and not rest in the last step of your life. At the end of the month, no salary. The simple US coming from, and the simple the people carrying the US dollar.
Just in the market.
People just feel with Pele,
We're telling my baby.
we're telling that.
Check it. See, love is the key. Together we can move forward. Yes, man, we're just united. We can hold on. Of course, blue forward is not to move forward. There is no development that we can boast of. Getting a fellow man job for reaches. Crossing the foreign investment out of hitches. Not because you want to take. We're children of a slave, no unity. We die in poverty. Yeah, no attention for the disability. Forget the one being sorry in all that. Now we stand divided, we go fall flat. Yeah, divided, we go fall flat. Now a woman won't go on that. Till you won't call. Look at that. Now a woman won't go on that. Till you won't call. Yeah. The passing the suffering, the massive. The increasing the passing the suffering, the massive. Massive. Oh, yeah, it's over. Massive. The increasing the passing the suffering, the massive.
They're coming again, they're coming to fool us. We're telling that we are believe. Nigeria is the wonder who we are. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run. Nigerians, let us stop corruption to rebuild our great nation. Nigeria don't be international community for our problems. Our problems is ourselves. Liberian suffering, Liberian today. We see it, we not doing nothing. Shoot number, just a jobber. Maggot with me, you're the boss, listen to me. Hey, Liberian people are tired. Liberian people, we are tired. Liberian people, listen to me. Make the righteous in for the for your future, for generation to generation. Make the righteous in for the the people we will tell we will tell them we not believe. The people we will tell we will tell them we not believe. The people just be, we believe. We were telling that we not believe.
Or people that listen, you give me your ears. Amen. Ego, yeah. Look at Guinea, look at Togo, look at Benin, look at Senegal. La Bureau, the older, the poorer, the country to get here. Don't say that don't pass. For the children, you see for the trace, they say that quality. For the AC car to the AC office. See what's on pay at the pocket cheese. That's what they are limited to.
All right, what thing we're going to continue. We're going to continue with the show from here. Of course, like I said, I'm sitting in for Emmanuel Savice on the Emmanuel Savice show this afternoon, and we just want to remind you that on this show we advocate for social justice, especially calling for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Code for Liberia, and of course the full implementation of the TRC recommendations as well. Let's say welcome wherever you are. It's great that we're here together on this platform as well. Well, let me first of all remind you of some of the especially the important upcoming event in April 5th. In April 5th, about 2.5 weeks from now or so, we will be in Monrovia, Liberia. And the reason we will be in Monrovia is for us to march for social justice, to get out there and advocate for social justice. We will be in Monrovia, we'll be in the streets of Monrovia, chanting and of course voicing out and calling on the Weir-led government, the George Weir-led government, to listen to our call. Listen to our call and take action and accept that the Liberian people are calling for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Code for Liberia. And then we will also be calling on the international community, governments that are represented in Monrovia. Governments that are represented in Monrovia, we will be reaching out to them and making our petition statements. All right, I think we're still having problem with Hot FM. I have no idea. Perhaps it's due to poor internet connectivity or the strength of the internet there. I'm unable to get them live. We keep trying, but yes. So we will be going from one embassy to another in Monrovia, Liberia, on the 5th of April, presenting our statement, our petition to the embassies that are represented in Liberia. The reason being is that the battle that we are embarking upon is not a battle that only Liberians will fight. No. This battle is a battle that will depend also on the international community. And of course, that includes those lawyers that will be standing out there for victims of war in Liberia. The lawyers that will be leaving from abroad to go, whether we're going to have the court established in Liberia or not, those lawyers, they are the one that we are going to voice out to as well. The fact of the matter in Liberia, the people say when somebody is watching your back, you should be able to also help yourself to scrub your stomach right in front of you. And so this is what we are going to do. We've heard from some of them, like QC Stephen Rapp. Stephen Rapp went to Liberia several times. Stephen Rapp is the one that he was one of the lead prosecutors for Charles Taylor trial. He and another strong lady. So Stephen Rapp went to Liberia when people were still asking questions. Where are you going to get money from? You're calling for the war crime code or so. Where are you going to get money from? The government doesn't have money. The government of Josh Weir doesn't have money. And even when Stephen Rapp went to Monrovia, he educated the Liberian people. And for some of us who know some of us who know where the money will come from, we have also been trying our best to educate the people, to pass on the information, to tell them that, look, do not worry about money business. We know this government, accordingly, they came to power and they told us that they inherited a broken government. And so, under no illusion, those of us that are calling for the establishment of war and an economic crimes code for Liberia, we go back to this government and ask them for money. They don't have money. And so, because we know where money will come from, that's why we are not shutting out. That's why we are not keeping quiet. That's why we keep calling. And Stephen Rapp, last year when he went to Monrovia as well, he told the people that they are even standing by to provide free of charge service to Liberia, to the victims, to hire a lawyer, an international lawyer, for a case. And not small money. Because it's not, in fact, it's not a case that will take 2-3 days to finish. No. We're talking about years. You remember about Charles Taylor, right? 3 years. Going into the 4th before it came to an end. So we know how lengthy it is. And we know how expensive it is. That is why when this special court for Sierra Leone was established, they didn't depend on the Sierra Leonean government or so. Already they were struggling like Liberia at the time. And so the international community, the funds that were available, were made available for the process. And all of over 300, witnesses that were brought in to the Netherlands The money never came from Freetown, Sierra Leone. No. It came from some of those trust funds. There's a special funds within the ICC. Most of the nations are contributing to that special funds. And we know even the United Kingdom is one of the highest contributor to that fund. And the money is there for such a cause. Because I remember last year we wrote the British Prime Minister and the government of the United Kingdom. We presented to them the copy of the TRC report. And we also sent our petition to them, and that petition was read. I read a petition, and we made a presentation to our lawmaker. In response, the office of the Prime Minister replied and told us that they are paying keen attention to these calls. And this is why they are not actually overlooking anything. Every month or so, they pay huge amount to the trust fund for such issue. And so we have the money. The lawyers are also standing by. Yes, Stephen Rapp and his colleagues are standing by to provide free of charge service to the victims of Liberia, those innocent souls. Why you think somebody that do not have any special connection with Liberia is so much interested in this case? And they have decided that we will give our time, our free time to Liberia. All we want is for Liberia to agree that they want to establish war and economic crimes code to put people on trial. That's all. And this is why we are calling on our president. The President George Weah, it's about time that you come out clear. The same way you came out in 2004. 2004. That's the same way. And you said at the time you were still representing UNICEF, right? Ambassador. You call for warlords to be brought to justice. Today you have the gavel of authority in your hand. The best person that we thought that this team, that in fact we will not even be sitting here to be talking this thing, is you. But why are you giving all headache now, Mr. Weah? Why are you giving all headache? Because all along we've been told is that your hands are so clean that from 1989, maybe from 1979 to 2003, that you never ever supported any uprising in Liberia. That's why they told us. We believe what the people said. Now you're in the authority, a proper authority, that you can use your veto power as well. You can use your power and say, well, look, this is it. I said this yesterday, and my position remains tight on it. We want the establishment of war and economic crimes code for Liberia. My government is going to support it. That's all we want from you, Mr. President. But I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed when you asked us the question the last time. The war crime code, you want or you want development. But all I can say, I will keep telling you, I'll keep throwing the answers back to you, is that we want both. They both can go concomitantly. They can go on together. Side by side. We can continue with the development and we can continue bringing people to justice. As we speak, countries are still putting people on trial for what they did yesterday. Way yesterday. And those individuals are paying for it. Just last week, the Bosnian president, former Bosnian president, was found guilty. He'd been there for almost 2-3 years on the trial there. Just last week, he was found guilty. He going to jail for good. He was president. He played part to even kill the people of Bosnia, the Muslim, the minority there. Roasted the people, thinking that maybe he was going to stay in power for the rest of his life. But here we are today. The moment he came out of power, he was grabbed, taken to The Hague. The verdict came down finally on him. He was set the rest of his life in jail. Let's go to Cambodia. Cambodia just last year, before the end of last year, a 97 years old and a 86 years old were sentenced for life for their part, for them directing the war in Cambodia in the 90s. We heard what happened there. Some of us saw it on television. We saw it, and we can still see those documents, those documentation or so. But they all thought that they were going to go free. But so many years has come and gone. And today, they caught all of them. I mean, how can you be 97 years old and they send you to jail for the rest of your life? You're gone. You're going to stay there and die anyway. But it's good for people to pay such a price. When you sow it, you got to reap it. And that's why we are calling on you, Mr. Weir. It's enough now. Stop keeping silence on this issue. War crimes code is a must in Liberia. Since you came in with the TRC, you don't even talk about it. No. Because we know that when the former president was leaving office, it's one of those documents that were left on the table for you. Unfinished business. Yes, that's what they do. When the term is over and you leave in the unfinished business, you leave it on the desk for the next person that coming to take over. When they take over, they will revisit and they will begin to take action. And we know definitely that the TRC was left on the desk for you to implement. Mr. Weir, since you came to power, even the TRC, you don't even make comment. So what was this show for then? When you were representing the whole world as UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, and you spoke and you said that people who cause heinous crimes in Liberia should be punished. Why were you saying those things? Was it just to get more money from UNICEF and for you to live your life and enjoy it? Was that all? Maybe that's why. Because these are words that those people love to hear. And they say, yeah, the ambassador is working. UNICEF ambassador is working. UNICEF ambassador is working hard. When you say these things and you go back to the office, your budget go up. Probably that was the only reason you spoke about it. But it was on record. And we still got you on record. We want you to come out clear. Enough is enough. We have gone through a lot in Liberia. The same people that caused us what we are experiencing today are the same people that are ruling us. I mean, how can we be so naive and so stupid like this? And we're sitting there, we stay clapping for them. We're sitting there, we stay appreciating them. We're embracing them. We're hailing them as heroes. How can we be so naive like this? And others are taking us to be stupid set of people. Yes, Liberians. That's how they're taking us to be. Because our leaders continue to fail us. Unfortunately, we still find it difficult to get to Monrovia, Liberia with Heart FM. So what we'll do now, since the show has been introduced, we're just going to go into the discussion now. Unfortunately, we can't get Heart FM at all. Let me go now and let's take a short break, musical break, and when I come back, we can continue with the show. Alright, I said the people think we Bel-Air, but we tell them, say we are not Bel-Air, no more. Alright, let me go strictly to the TRC report and just pass the information to you. These are the reasons that we want to establish War and Economic Crime School for Liberia. These are reasons we want. We are calling for the establishment. The catalog of what happened between 1979 and 2003. The catalog of heinous crimes. Most of them were recorded. People took note. People could remember what happened. When they appeared before the TRC, they gave account of what they could remember. And we needed them. We needed those issues. Those things that happened yesterday. And we just want to say thank you to all of the commissioners of the TRC. We will make sure that your work will not go in vain. They will be implemented. And so let me just take you through catalog of selected human rights violations over the period 1979 to 2003, mostly documented by known TRC sources. Of February 1979, 7 people, including 1 woman, Alan Yancey, convicted and hanged in Monrovia for ritual Boyo killing in 1976. You know, these things, people do them and they feel they think that, you know, you do it, you can just go free, or maybe you know, it's not something that anybody would talk about. What was done, the way the manner in which Harry Greaves was killed, and the case, there are international community organizations that documented that case. The same way about Ines, the same way about Bala. Ines, the guy who was working with the Central Bank of Liberia, and the driver of the Central Bank of Liberia, who was also found dead. These cases are documented, and it will be part of the history of Liberia. So you see this? 1979, 1976. Alan Yancey. Okay, April 14, 1979. Brutal suppression by government security of a pending mass demonstration over a planned increase in the price of rice. More than 100 people were killed and some 500 injured, according to Liberian government statements. March 1989, a major crackdown and arrest of Bacchus Matthews and opposition leaders and supporters by Tobot government. Hundreds were rounded up around the country, beaten, tortured, and dehumanized whilst in prison awaiting trial. These are all human rights violations. April 9, 1980, government sued a wanted dead or alive. Government issued a wanted dead or alive hunt for members of the opposition. Many arrested, detained, and tortured at the military facility of Post Stockade because of their political beliefs. Imagine the government is giving instruction, dead or alive. Bring that individual dead or alive. So the moment you say, let me take my clothes, let me wear my clothes on, somebody can shoot you and take your body to the person who requested. April 12, 1980, Samuel Doe's bloody overthrow of the TWP government of William Tobot. Schools were killed during the takeover on charges of corruption and human rights violation. On 17 April, shadow trials without due process proceeded against 14 members of the government. 13 were publicly executed on April 22nd. The prisoners were tried to take the prisoners were tied to stakes and shot. They were tied to stakes and shot in public view. So this is it. During that time, you know, Simon Kanyado arrested a lot of people, and they charged them for corruption and human rights violation. My people, you'll hear this one here. They charged them for corruption and human rights violation. That was 1980. Have we seen any change in terms of fighting corruption in Liberia? Okay, let's see. The prisoners were tied to stakes and shot in public view. Proceeding against another 10 detained former officials continued throughout. And 400 other prisoners, including family members of the deposed president, remained in custody without charge or trial for a prolonged period. March 1981, 7 people were executed by hanging after being summarily convicted of alleged murder and conspiracy in influencing the conduct of armed men. Jungle justice, right? June 1981, 14 lower ranked soldiers were arrested and accused of plotting to overthrow the government and to assassinate several leading members. After a summary trial without defense counsel, 13 of the soldiers were sentenced to death and allegedly secretly executed in the Post-Stockade prison, Monrovia. Late January 1982, Sergeant David Bede was executed by firing squad after being convicted of murder by the Supreme Military Tribunal. February 3rd, 1982, 4 soldiers executed by firing squad without trial They allegedly confessed during a horrid preliminary investigation by the military authorities to having participated in an armed robbery in which 3 other soldiers died. 1983, the Nimba raid by supporters of Thomas Kwangwa in Yekepa, Lamco Mining Company and government offices left many injured and rights violated. February 8 and 9, 1984, Willis Knuckles, journalist for the Daily Observer newspaper and a correspondent for the BBC in Liberia, was detained at Postacate prison. He was severely beaten up upon his arrest and also whipped during the following days. June 1984. These are the catalog of happenings that actually led to even us reaching to the point that those guys went in the bush and they said they're bringing freedom to us, the MPFL and IMPFL and the rest of them. June 1984, Rufus Dapo, a freelance journalist and former editor of the government-controlled New Liberian newspaper, was arrested and taken to maximum prison Belayala under harsh conditions and released in November without charge. April to October 1985. In the months preceding the elections, several leading opposition politicians and others were imprisoned. They included Dusty Wolokoli, a prominent member of the Liberian People's Party, LPP, and John Kawiye, another LPP member, after expressing doubts as to whether the elections would be fair. Both were released without charge. July 1985. We are going into the TRC here. I'm into this TRC for those of you that just joining in to give you the catalog of what happened up to 2003 from 1979. July 1985. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, a leading member of the Liberian Action Party (LAP), was placed under house arrest, and a few days later she was detained and moved to the Postacate prison, tried before the Special Military Tribunal and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for sedition, released 12 days later. November 1985, random campaign of terror in Nimba and other counties against the people of Nimba suspected of supporting the failed coup attempt of General Thomas Kwangwa. On November 12th, General Charles Julu of the Executive Mansion Guard Battalion EMG led the purge against the Nimba people. Human rights abuse, including killings, occurred on a substantial scale the days following the failed coup. The victims appeared mostly to be civilians who had not been involved in the conspiracy but who were suspected by the government of being sympathetic towards Thomas Kwangwa. So, I mean, by you saying, hey, God, you know, I'm feeling for Thomas Kwangwa, they come and kill you, boom, they kill you. Or, I don't know, yeah. A number of people unconnected were killed, including Charles Bayon, a senior television journalist working for the Liberian Broadcasting System, who was killed a few days after the coup at the Executive Mansion, official residence of head of state. 1987, John Vambo, a journalist, was also detained without charge in August and later released. 1987 again, Zay Gonti, a businessman, was arrested in May and detained incommunicado and without trial for over 3 months in the Posta case and later released. 1989, Gabriel William Boulay, and 9 other prisoners of concerns remained in prison throughout the year. They were convicted without due process and imprisoned under poor conditions. October 1989, Momodu Lavla and 2 other students, including Benedict Galawolo, were detained illegally and without charge for 2 weeks and eventually killed in early 1990. There you go. I mean, how can you learn have peace? How can you learn have peace when all of this are recorded that took place in your land? Now look at the other one here. You just come in. You're not even following the show. You're telling me I'm giving you false news. Did I tell you that I document this thing, or what the information I'm passing? Some of you need to find find a rightful place that you can go and entertain yourself. I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to pass on information. I sat down here. I told you I am providing this. I am going to read some portion of the TRC recommendation of the TRC report. Then you telling me here I am passing on false. I am giving you false news. I'm going to block you right away because you're calling me a fool. You should be a fool because you didn't even listen to what I said. If you had listened to what I said, and perhaps you call yourself Mr. Know something, you will not even be making a statement. Now, when you get on people's platform, if you click that video to listen, don't just click the video and make a comment. Let me educate you now. Listen to the person that is speaking. Listen to what they are telling you. I don't sit here to make stories. My platform are for educational purpose. I introduce my show and I keep talking about where I'm getting the information from time after time. Why don't you sit down and listen if you're just coming in? Instead of you opening or trying to make your presence felt by making some kind of a sarcastic remark. I hate to call people fool, but since you're throwing the wall at me, I'm going to throw it back at you. I don't refer on my platform. I don't even accept rudeness. You come from that place. You know what? Just find another platform. I sat down here, people being on this platform since I started. None of them are making comment. They're listening to what I'm providing here. And I introduced my show. And I kept saying, I am going to go back today again in the TRC report and read to you some portion of the TRC report. Then somebody is telling me here, stop giving false news. What kind of human being is this? You need to get off the platform right now before I get angry and you will never even come back. You'll never even see any post from me. So either you delete that your thing you right there, or I'm going to block you and block you for good. You will never ever come on my platform. You will never ever see a post from me for that matter. So you better delete that thing you wrote there right now. Everywhere you go, you just want to show what sort of human being you are. Everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you want to show what kind of human being you people are. I mean, even if you don't go to school, when somebody is talking, try and listen. Open your ears. If you get wax in your ear, ask somebody to clean it up and listen. I hate teaching adults that have grown up and who will just feel that they know everything and wherein they don't know anything. How will you call somebody a fool? How will you come on my platform and call somebody a fool and call me a fool? And you're making fool out of yourself. Because from one side you didn't even listen, you didn't even follow the show. You just came on the platform, you just click the video and start watching. After you heard me reading one or two chronological settings of what happened yesterday, you just came up with some kind of statement. False news. You know what they call false news? If I sat down here and just told you today I'm going to give you chronological settings of what happened yesterday from 1979 to 2003, you have the right to question me and ask me how do you know or whatsoever it is. Talk about 1979 or just 3 years old. So definitely, if I tell you something from 1979 to 2003, you'll have all right. But I sat here and I told you I am going back. You have not been on my platform before. I have been going inside the TRC and providing and reading the TRC report to people here. Then you come in here, you come and tell me nonsense. The moment you go anywhere, every platform you go, you want to go and show yourself. Not on my platform. You don't bring rudeness here. I'll block you and I'll block you for good. Because when you put out any insulting words out there, it hitting me, it hitting the rest of the people that are also watching. That's why I don't tolerate rudeness on my platforms. All of them, I don't. I do sincerely apologize to all of my wonderful, wonderful people. You know, sometimes, yeah, you know, normally you don't see me like they're reacting or so. But sometimes when you're getting too much, you just have to lose it out and let some people get to know you. I think your advice. Thank you. I actually planned that when we finish with the chronological setting, we still have time. We're going to go to the listing of those that actually, according to the TRC, were barred from taking any political office for 30 years. We'll read the names as well. All right, let's go ahead now. October 1989, okay, like we did that. Mumbudu Lava, we did that. January 1990, the government said a number of rebels had been captured and would be brought to trial, but they appeared to include Gio and minor civilians arrested in Monrovia. None was brought to trial and their fate is unknown. Meanwhile, a counterinsurgency by the AFL against people mainly of Nimba origin led to killings, burning of villages, and looting. This forced 160,000 civilians in Nimba County to flee into Guinea and Ivory Coast. From January to May, massacres in May were led by Captain James Chile and Edwin Voka. In fact, some of these incidents now, some people will tell you, say, oh, I heard of that. Oh, I was in Monrovia. Oh, I was small, but I heard of this. Somebody come and tell me something here. May 1990, Angeline Water Allison and two others sentenced to life imprisonment for complicity to murder, but appear to be prisoners of consent. Look at that. You accuse somebody for one crime and then you're holding them for the other one. Okay, June 1990, murder of Moses Dropo by Benjamin Yete for questioning the leadership status of Charles Taylor of the MPFL. Hear this one, man. So it's the same thing they're talking about. You know, when you question the leadership of somebody, then somebody come here at you. There you go. Anyway, please, I'm not taking call now. So somebody trying to call, but I'm not taking call now. Maybe let me do an exception. I don't know. Maybe somebody want to say something. Some more. Let me bring in some more. Look at hear this one here. Murder of Moses Dropo by Benjamin Yete for questioning the leadership status of Charles Taylor of the MPFL. There you go. We don't want the days of yesterday to come out. June 1990, massacre of 27 Gio and Emmanuel family members of the AFL by Moses Thomas, Moses Wright, James Chile, and George Dwyer, reportedly under orders of Samuel Doe. Yeah. I heard of Chile because that time we in Monrovia, James Chile, I heard of him. Yeah. Between June and August 1990, killing of prominent Liberians, including Jackson F. Doe, Kpakio, Gabriel Paulet, and up to 80 others associated with the MPFL in purge, allegedly authorized by Charles Taylor. All right, they call drugs. Henry Cartier, George Masur, and George Kasua effected the arrest in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. Jackson F. Doe was murdered in Zogowee, Nima County. Yeah. Early July 1990, Bakedu, Lofa County massacre of 500 ethnic Mandingos by MPFL. An imam was beheaded. June 29, 1990, massacre over 500 men, women, and children, mainly of Gio and Mano ethnicity, seeking refuge at the St. Peter's Lutheran Church in Monrovia as reprisal for the Bakedu massacre. You come again and can't tell me that I am providing you false information. People go in the house of God and say, I'm going to seek refuge. Let me go in the church. The same way sometimes in the refugee camp, sometimes the people will run to places that, they see the Red Cross or International Red Cross, or so they go there, they feel that they are safe. August 2nd, 1990, massacre of 250 Guios. Damn it. 250 Guios and Manos seeking refuge at the JFK Hospital in Monrovia, allegedly led by George Dwyer. Ego. I mean, brother to brothers, man. We are sister to ego. Yeah, man. Now, some of these things we never heard them. Only for today, I'm coming across this in the TRC report. These are Liberians. These are Liberians. I'm not questioning anything I'm reading here. These are the people got the witness. The witness came forth and they all gave their accounts and everything. The people took account of it. So the TRC, they didn't sit there to just read it. They just sit there to read, to write. No, they call people. They even went to America. They had a palaver meeting there. They call other people. Okay, August 1990. About 50 foreigners, including Americans, were detained by the MPFL. The MPFL also took prisoner at least 30 Nigerians, as well as nationals of Guinea and Ghana, as part of attacks on ECOWAS citizens whose countries were contributing troops to ECOMOG. There were reports of widespread arrests among the Ghanaian community living in areas under the MPFL's control in response to ECOWAS' decision to deploy ECOMOG. That one by our in Monrovia, we heard that was happening. Indeed, when ECOMOG, it got to the point they said, because all the countries that are in Liberia, in ECOMOG, they're catching all their citizens and things. 1991. The IMPFL reportedly held one woman at 8 camp throughout 1991, having taken her prisoner in November 1990, and to be holding a number of children at an orphanage within the camp as human shield to deter a possible attack by ECOWAS forces. February 1991, the IMPFL detained and ill-treated some 7 members of the Interim Legislative Assembly by 3 days, for 3 days. Let me read that again. February 1991, the IMPFL detained and ill-treated some 7 members of the Interim Legislative Assembly for 3 days. That was Prince Johnson, right? On the base in Coward. Okay, September 1991. After the September Ulimo incursion into Western Liberia from Sierra Leone, and again in December, foreign and Liberian and workers were detained for several days by the MPFL, assaulted and accused for spying. Okay, so civilian, they catch you, they say you spy you. June 1, 2002, Ambassador Albert Kpakio killed on June 1st, 2002 by forces loyal to Alhaji Nkrumah over power struggle within the Ulimo movement. So that one, a power struggle, they say, oh, I want to be leader, I know I want to be, boom. They say, okay, they want to overthrow me. All right, April 1992, Father Scrafino Dupont was arrested by MPFL for possessing interim government currency and a Roman Catholic newsletter alleged to be seditious literature. What? But that one country is so I just hear in the other one. So that's the time we used to have the currency behind the line and the currency in the city, because we were in the city anyway. And we used to hear the news though, say when you carry this money behind the line, they will kill you or so. So that how they calculate the man got killed. Okay, he was released after paying a large fine. So the Catholic man wasn't killed, but actually he was released after paying a large fine, but re-arrested allegedly on suspicions of espionage. That one has more crime now. He was held in a police station in Banga until May, when he was released and deported to Cote d'Ivoire. There you go. October 1992, Operation Octopus was the MPFL unprovoked attack on Ecomog and Monrovia. Left scores of civilians dead, paralyzed the city, and created humanitarian disaster. Oh yes, I was in Monrovia, and on 2 occasions I went to Greystone right before my eyes. I think I was just about entering the Greystone from the old American embassy side. We heard something, boom, not known. So we're going there now. We just met the body scatter. Octopus, if anybody tell you that Octopus was challenging, believe them. It was, yeah. The shelling was just coming from anywhere from across. Anywhere coming to the city. The old government hospital, the area I was living, up Ashman Street by Katira there. Oh man, the shelling fire. But now I used to finish there. Okay, that goes down small. October 1992, up to 300 orphans and a former government officials were apparently taken away by MPFL forces on about 28 October from an orphanage near Gunnersville. Orphans who escaped reportedly said that the MPFL was forcing the boys to fight for them. October 1992, 5 Catholic nuns were slain in Gunnersville, Monrovia, during the Octopus attack by Christopher Vambo and Edward Wowa of the MPFL. June 6, 1993, massacre of 600 displaced persons at a harbor camp within Firestone Plantation. I mean, the people displaced already. They didn't get nowhere to go. They don't even know anybody there. Then you go kill them again. The UN WACO Commission placed responsibility at the doorsteps of the AFL. Observers and TRC fundings hold the MPFL responsible for the massacre in which the victims were burned on the outskirts of the camp. Now you tell me now, those souls, those innocent souls, man. November 1993. Liberia, we get it all. That prayer can finish it all. We have to establish the court. November, on those souls will have they will rest in peace. November 1993, the MPFL detained UN aid workers for several days, accusing them of spying. They were later released. November 1993, after thousands of refugees had fled from the fighting in Sierra Leone into Lufa County, ULIMO forces reportedly took about 300 persons as prisoners on suspicion of being supporters of the Revolutionary United Front (RUF). Hey God, you move from the fire, you can't fall down inside the hot oil again. Yeah, people running away from war. They say who want a war? They run away from Freetown. They go to Lufa County. 1993, murder of 6 Senegalese ECOMOS soldiers by Oliver Vani. Yeah, Oliver Vani was around between Bommy and Cape Man there. I heard I went to Bommy and I heard about him there quite a lot. Murder of 6 Senegalese ECOMOS soldiers by Oliver Vani, Timothy Moba and Joe Doe in Vanhu, on orders of Charles Taylor and Defense Minister Thomas Woweyo. The bodies were dumped in a Vanhu Valley. May 1994, the LPRC reportedly detained 10 Ugandan unmanned soldiers, releasing them a few days later. May 1994, in separate incidents, Mandingo UNIMO fighters held hostage 17 UN employees, delivering food aid, and 16 Nigerian ECOMOS soldiers, accusing them of supporting the rival ethnic Kran UNIMO faction. They were released after a few days. June 1994, AFL soldiers detained UNIMO staff at Shefflin Barracks near Monrovia for 3 days. June 1994, Kran UNIMO fighters took hostage 6 unarmed UNIMO officers in Tomenburg for 2 days, reportedly beating them and subjecting them to mock executions. July 1994, the MPFL was reported to be holding about 25 ECOMOS soldiers and 30 long-term political prisoners. September 9, 1994, the MPFL arrested 43 unarmed UNIMO observers and 6 NGO workers and held them at 9 different sites. 33 were released after 5 days and the rest were released by 18 September. The UN reported that some were beaten and terrorized by their captors. Y'all go keep peace, then you're in the fire. September 1994, MPFL fighters reportedly detained 43 unmanned officers and 6 aid workers in various parts of the country for up to 10 days. September 1994, massacre of 100 persons hospitalized at Phoebe Hospital. They were mostly fleeing hostilities between MPFL and UNIMO. Look at these people. People left and they gone in the hospital. Some of them they need medication. They went there for treatment. Then you go in the hospital. You meet somebody in the hospital bed and go kill them. This is a story one sister was talking about a couple of months ago. Last month. November 1994. LPC fighters reportedly took 10 girls captive in Sabo Wafiken, slashing their feet and forcing them to walk back to the fighters' base in Sano County. God. You caught under the you take reasonably or whatsoever, you caught somebody under the feet. And you're telling them to walk? December 15, 1994. Cowfield massacre of 48 civilians while they were asleep on Dupo Road, Monrovia, by the MPFL. Let me read that again, because I was in Monrovia. I heard about this killing. December 15, 1994. Cowfield massacre of 48 civilians while they were asleep on Dupont Road, Monrovia, by the MPFL. January 1995, LPC fighters killed 18 civilians in Grand Creek County. January 1996, in the area around Tomerberg, Urimo J detained 130 ECOMOG troops who had been engaged in clearing mines and held them for 10 days as a shield against attacks. Here there's other one here. Mines that can blow people like for nothing, and we know how people, you know, will left farming or so. By the time the war finishes, we'll see how people go in the bush. People gone to clear the mines. Then you catch them, 130 ECOMOG soldiers. February 1986, eight workers were held for 3 days by the LPC in southeastern Liberia. April 6, 1996, Monrovia fighting to arrest Roosevelt Johnson. Oh yeah, Camp Johnson Road was hot that day. I remember I went to visit my cousin before this thing started. Yeah. Monrovia fighting to arrest Roosevelt Johnson in the combined MPFL and Ulimo operation with support of ECOMOG devastated the city, imposed economic and financial hardships, and caused deaths. During the fighting in Monrovia, members of ECOMOG and other foreign nationals were held at the Barclay Training Center military barracks by crime troops loyal to Roosevelt Johnson. April 18, 1986, murder of 12 persons in Zwana Town and Blount Town, Bomi County. Group of fighters stormed the displaced camp and burned it down along with Camo Town. Torture including rape and ill treatment. Let me see what I'll be able to go into this. Probably I'm going to leave this for next time. Torture including rape and ill treatment, which started in May 1989. A suspected murderer and another man sentenced to death for murder in February both died at Buchanan Central Prison, reportedly as a result of harsh conditions. October 1989, Henry B. Walker, a murder suspect, died at the Monrovia Central Prison, reportedly as a result of harsh conditions. October 1989, two murder suspects died at Monrovia Central Prison, apparently as a result of torture, ill treatment, or medical neglect. Following their arrest, thought to have been in April or May, they have been held illegally and incommunicado in the post-stackets, a military detention facility where political detainees have been tortured in the past. January 1992, while still formally allied to the interim government, the IMPFL ill-treated and held two journalists, Isaac Bantu and Dan Brown, for 3 days under harsh conditions. September 1992, nearly 600 ECOMOG soldiers were taken prisoner, some of whom were severely beaten by their MPFL captors. January 1993, ECOMOG beat and injured a British Broadcasting Corporation journalist, apparently because he had criticized ECOMOG in his reports. December 1993, 800 captured MPFL fighters held by the interim government at Monrovia Central Prison were reported to be suffering severe malnutrition and medical neglect. 5 were said to have died. July 1994, LPC fighters beat and detained for 5 days a civilian in Buchanan who resisted having his bicycle stolen. July 1994, LPC fighters at Banabo Beach in Nimba 4 district allegedly heated machetes and a fire and branded their captives, leaving large third-degree burns on their victims. September 1994, the MPFL reportedly detained and ill-treated 30 civilians from the Bassa ethnic group in Butuo, Nimba County, accused of supporting the LPC. September 1994, large numbers of civilians and refugees were beaten and raped and their property looted by the armed groups involved in the fighting around Banga. September 1994, LPC fighters allegedly cut off the fingers and ears of Abbott Mandi, a journalist. 1995, LPC fighters operating with the support of the AFL systematically swept through rural areas in southeastern Liberia, robbing, torturing, intimidating people and forcing them to take refuge in Bukana or other places under ECOMOG control. Many of those fleeing to Bukana in February were reported to have been bayoneted, shot or flogged by LPC fighters. At the time, large number of people, perhaps as many as 6,000, were reportedly being held by the LPC in the compounds of an agriculture company where many were raped. April 1995, Yurumo K set ablaze the towns of Fasama, Zwana 1 and Zwana 2. Survivors reported rapes, abduction, and looting. April 1995, Benjamin Wilson, a journalist with the Eye, was beaten by police when he refused to give them photographs he had taken of damages at a refuge compound in Monrovia. June 1995, UNICEF workers in Bukana reported that they had registered 652 cases of women who had been raped, mostly by members of the warring factions, within a period less than 6 months. July 1995, Bill Jackler, a journalist with the news, was beaten unconsciously by Yurumo J fighters. He had been interviewing Roosevelt Johnson when fighters stormed the building and he tried to photograph the incident. 3 of those involved in the attack were arrested by ECOMOG and then handed over to the Yurumo J High Command. September 1995, James Momo, a journalist with the Inquirer, was beaten by ECOMOG soldiers when trying to photograph AFL soldier at a checkpoint. March 1996, MPFL officials shot 2 men in the legs after they were found threatening civilians. All right, those are the sequence of incident. Quite a lot. What we'll get next is it has to do with additional extrajudicial execution on lawful killing of civilians, including massacres that we started in 1990. We are not going to go into that for today. We're going to end here for today because the time allotted for me to be on the Emmanuel Savice show, had just elapsed. So we're going to end here for today, and as I promised you, I will come back another time. Hopefully this weekend or maybe Monday. We will go into the list of the TRC, those that were recommended to be barred from holding any political office for 30 years. If the TRC really put this TRC into use, honestly, don't forget about the war crimes code. But because everything with what the recommendations within the TRC, almost goes together with the war crimes code, because although people will face some kind of a double punishment, because if we institute the TRC recommendations, number one, first of all, the next election, maybe from 2020, if Mr. Buya actually agree and give us the go ahead, but now this thing will just it will be a rush thing that it will be set. That even coming this 2020 for the senatorial election, they can be bad. Those are in the house already will be kicked out. We make sure that we kick them out. Vote people who are neutral, we send them there, and once they are out, then the other proceedings will continue from there. Then the issue of buying them from getting into office will come into force. 30 years. Imagine when we kick these guys out and then bar them from taking office, of course, elected posts or whatever it is, but to work for the government. If we bar them from participation for 30 years, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be setting the right agenda for our children, for the next generation that are coming. You know, it's not going to be like, you know, I can see some guys who fought yesterday who actually had weapons yesterday. Today they are in the house, they are representatives, they are senators also. Our children that are growing up today, tomorrow when they reach to the point that they can begin to give back to their country, they will be afraid. They will be afraid. They will not celebrate. If we set these precedents right, if we actually institute the rightful measures that will bring justice for the victims, for Liberia, for us to deny these people the right, that you have no right to come and rule this nation after you cause this nation heinous crimes. Whatever we're going through today, you are the cause. Whatever we are going through today, whatever our children are facing today, whatever our hospitals is going through today, you are the cause. We are keeping you out. And let's see how our children, the next generation, will not focus in developing Liberia. If we don't do this, my people, all of this talking we're talking is, you know, some of us, by how we'll be talking until our days are over on this planet Earth. That's why for me, I will keep saying. I will keep talking. And I will say it. Now, even if I'm not here, I know that one day justice will come for Liberia. Even if I'm not here, I know that one day these people, most of them will face the reality, go in the courthouse and go answer questions as to why. Why did you bring war on your own people? Why did you go and buy arms and ammunition to come and kill your people? Why did you go to that refugee camp and you bring the people to death? Why did you go to that church? They went for refuge. They have run away from war. They have gone there to seek refuge. Why did you go there and slaughter all of them? Why did you do it? We just want to have that opportunity. Even if I'm not around tomorrow, yes, those of you that will be around to hear it, we just want them to come and answer those questions for us. Let us come and tell us why they did it. But until then, we will continue to advocate for justice in Liberia. And I just want to remind you once again, fellow citizens, on April the 5th, we'll be in Monrovia. We'll be advocating for social justice. What we want, if you can't be there, your contribution, please go to the Emmanuel Savice page. There's a GoFundMe there. It's just a click of a button. You can get directly in touch with Emmanuel Savice. You'll be able to get your $5, your $10. Some of you are direct victim of the war. Yes, some of you are direct victim, like myself. Yes, many of us are direct victim. One way or another, so long you are a Liberian, you are a victim of the situation in Liberia. Except you don't want to accept it. Except for one reason or another. You don't want to be a part of it. You don't want to contribute to bringing the people to justice. Fine, that's your right. But for those of you that are advocating, those of you that are not being able to really advocate, but it is in your heart, it is burning you that you want to see these people brought to justice. I am encouraging you, if you can't go and be a part of this march, your financial contribution can also be there, and you can be there in spirit with us. But please, please, please try and get in touch with Emmanuel Savice. Make your contribution. For those of you who already made a contribution, some people, you know, really went deep into their pockets. Yes, according to what I heard. Thank you so much. We are going there to represent you. I am going there to represent you. I am going there to represent our innocent souls that took away from us. Some of us, we came on this planet. Our parents, through the blessing of the Almighty God, brought us on this planet clean, good, physically fit, and everything. But people came and took away certain portion of it from us. And today, some of us, either our hands are cut off, our leg is gone, or either they turned us blind or so, forcefully or so. We know what the world left with us. We can't sit there to say we should continue to empower the very people that caused us our future. We can't sit there. So even when you're spending that $5 and you say, I'm sending this $5 as a contribution for the march on April the 5th, my dear, your spirit and the spirit of those innocent people will be rejoicing. We will be in Morovia. And you know that a multitude of people like this, you know, we need water to drink. Some people will need help later on, perhaps maybe small cash or transportation to go back, especially the elderly, disabled that will be among us as well. Compensation will come as well. We know it's free of charge. I've decided to sacrifice everything, leave what I'm doing, buy my own ticket. I would have said, well, the $1,200 a ticket, let me send $500 and stay. But I want to go and be a part, because I know many of us that are in the diaspora will not have the time to go. So I'm going to represent you guys. I am going, and I want you to be a part. Don't just sit there and listen. Don't just sit there and say, yeah, I support it. Do something, and do something positive. Join the cause. $5, $10, it still make a huge difference. We can buy cold water and drink on that day. From wherever we're going to pick up from, especially I know we're going to pick up from the Centennial Memorial Pavilion on Ashmont Street. We're going to pick up from there. We're going to gather there early morning on the 5th. We'll gather there and we'll be there until once we're ready to pick up, we pick up. We're going to start off going straight up to Ashmont Street Cathedral, bend and go to Benson Street and go. Our first stop will be at the U.S. Embassy of Benson Street, Snapper Hill. There where we'll make our first stop, and we'll present a petition to the U.S. Ambassador. And then from there we'll begin, we'll climb the hill, we'll go down accordingly, because at that other end as well as the diplomatic enclave, the European Union is there. We will also make a stop there and give them our petition. And on we'll go from one embassy to another, and we end up at the offices of the president. The same petition will be given to the president, and possibly to the members of the legislature and the members of the Senate. The lower house and the upper house, we will also do presentation to them. We will be making the case on your behalf, on behalf of those innocent souls. So please join us. Comes April 5th. If you are in the diaspora and you got relatives back home, this is going to be peaceful. There's nothing to fear. We are not going to do any demonstration. We are going to have a peaceful march. The thing here is, we are marching for the innocent souls of Liberia. How will we want to cause trouble? No way. We are going to be crying for those souls that never even had the time to cry. That never even had the time to say, oh, please don't kill me. Please don't shoot me. We are going to shout out for them. Justice for them. That's what we're going to do. I want to say thank you so much for this afternoon, for being here. Thank you for sharing the video. Thanks for those of you that started with me, that remain here with me as well. I appreciate you, and I just want to say thank you for everything. Let's continue. Let's continue to fight for justice, because we know one day, no matter how long it will take, it will come. Mr. Weir, all we want you to do is give up the right. Tell us that you are ready for the war crime for Liberia. Surrender those people who are surrounding you and are seeking protection from you. Mr. President, we want this country to grow. I love you all. God bless you. God bless the continent of Africa, and above all else, may God bless Mama Liberia. Thank you, and I'll catch you later on at about 9 o'clock when I shall be back for the program, the review of the paper. Okay, bye bye for now. I love you all. Bye bye.